Hello, welcome back to eXp Realty Minnesota. I'm your host today, Justin Campbell, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at seller's disclosure. Primarily, we're going to be looking at the seller's disclosure statement. We're going to go through this thing line by line. So if you're getting ready to fill one out, if you need some instruction on how to fill one out, if you are reading one, this is going to be another great video for you to watch to kind of go through that entire form. All right, so here we are taking a look at the seller's property disclosure statement. If we go to line 5, the information disclosed is given to the best of the seller's knowledge. This is an obligation or duty of the seller to provide all of the information that could impact future use and enjoyment on the property. We've got a few lines that's kind of breaking down the disclosure, what it looks like. Also, if you want to take a look at this form and follow along, I will put a copy to this PDF in the link below. Okay, to complete this form, consult prior disclosure statement. So if a seller has another disclosure statement, it can be very helpful to get that out because you can answer a lot of these questions very quickly, and or inspection reports when completing this form. So different cities are going to have different requirements that sellers are going to have to complete to get a property ready for sale. And so they may have a city inspection as well. Depending on what city that is, it may or may not be available to the general public. It may be just provided to the seller. Okay, so the next line, we're going to go to 33, the property located. This is the address, city, county, zip code. All pretty straightforward, right? So we get into the general information. The following questions are to be answered to the best of the seller's knowledge. What date did you acquire and or build the home? So again, they say the best of the seller's knowledge. If it was 1971 or 72 and you're not sure, here you could put 71 or 72, right? The different types of title, we've got abstract, registered, and unknown. The location of the abstract. Was there an existing owner's title policy, right? So this information is going to be very important because if there's a previous ownership policy, that title would be insured and or protected from any disputes. Well, it couldn't stop a dispute, but it would protect you to an extent. Have you occupied this home continuously during ownership? Pretty obvious there, right? Did they use it? Was it a rental property? If they say no, they could put explain, could be Airbnb. Number 4, is the home suitable for year-round use, right? This would be a really straightforward answer. If the house doesn't have heat and you're in Duluth, right? Is it suitable for year-round use? The answer is no. Are you in possession of prior seller's disclosure statement? So the reason this is kind of asked here is you can see this really early on. Oh, yes, there is a prior report, and you should be able to take a look at that additional report as well. Is the property a manufactured home, right? Is it and has the title been surrendered to the Register of Motor Vehicles for cancellation? When you buy a trailer home, it comes basically with a license plate, is my interpretation of it. And that to make it into a home, you got to cancel that relationship or license. I'm not really fully sure, but it is required if it's a motor home or a mobile home. Where it's located, this is going to be the first line 51 is going to, is it connected to a public or private road? Does it have flood insurance, going through flood requirements? Are there any homeowner associations or shared amenities? So you can look at right here to this line to see if there's going to be an HOA or maybe there's a pool, right? Encroachments. These are going to break down the different types of really encroachments. It's saying things that could negatively impact or change the ownership for the buyer. General conditions. From this field, we're starting into really specific questions about has there been wind, fire, flood, hail, or other causes? If these run long, I always tell my seller, if you're not sure what to put, fill it out long, add an additional form. Just say, see attached here, and go into greater detail if you need to. If you can summarize it in that sentence, perfect. Have you had an insurance claim? Did you receive compensation? Did you repair the items? These are really going to be really great answers for the buyer to have before they even put an offer on the property, right? Because as you're getting to these points in the disclosure, you're realizing, hey, there's maybe some holes here, right? Anyways, moving on. Have you done building? Have you changed the building? Have you changed the wiring or plumbing? Did you pull permits where required? Has there been damage to flooring or floor covering? Have you have any pets? How many? Right? So we're getting to a really good position where they've asked a lot of these questions about the condition of the property, and you're getting a general idea what's happened and what's been the result, right? Now we're going to take a look at the foundation. Hey, what's going on down there? What's going on in the basement? Are the floors cracked? Is there drain tile? Is there leakage or seepage, right? Going through these should give you a pretty good accurate history of what you can expect in the basement, right? If it says yes here, if you answered yes and you put basement is not livable, right? Pretty straightforward. The roof, they're going to want the age of the roof, ice dams, build up. Next, we're going into interior and exterior wall, siding, and windows. These checkboxes are probably the most common mistakes that sellers will make when filling these out. Right here, it says not applicable. We've got working order, yes or no. Let's say you have pool and equipment here and you put no, and you don't actually have a pool, the actual answer is not applicable. So keep that in mind. If you don't have a pool, it's not applicable. It's not no. These are working order, yes or no. Does the property have a sewage system? This is important information. Does it have subsurface sewage treatment on the property? You're going to find this out. Private well disclosure. Is there a well on the property? Property tax treatment. You're going to want to know what type of ownership. Is it homesteaded? Notices and special assessments. This is for, have you gotten a letter from the county that's saying, hey, we're special assessing you $3,000 over the next 3 years? And you need to answer that question here. This is going to make a huge difference, especially later on down the road. If you're negotiating in a transaction, you could end up being, you're going to pay for it, I guess, either way. But include this information. It's a huge, if you got one letter, just include it. Foreign Investment and Real Property Act. If you are a foreign person in America, non-resident alien, individual, or foreign corporation, and you sell a property, the U.S. government wants to know about it. They want their cut, and they will hold the buyer responsible for the performance of this. So is that person a foreign person? We need to get this verified. If the seller is a foreign person, keep this in mind. Talk with the title company to find out how that's going to impact you. Next, we're going into methamphetamine production and disclosure. Was this a meth house that you purchased? That's going to be really important information to include. This isn't my Uncle Jim smoked some meth in the garage once, right? This is, did they produce it? Make sense? Okay. Regarding airport zoning regulations, carbon monoxide detectors, cemetery act, are there dead people buried in the property? This could be a very important one. I will always make sure that my seller fills this one out correctly, because if you put the wrong button and you check yes, people are going to know, where are the bodies? Environmental concerns, animals, asbestos, trees, formaldehyde, lead, mold, soil problems, storage tanks, vapor intrusion, right? So what's going on? Is there anything there that's environmentally going to impact the property? Radon. Did the seller have a radon test? Are they aware of any tests that were completed about radon? Radon is an odorless gas, naturally occurring in the environment, and it's lighter than air. So it goes to very low basements with exposed dirt. It is very dangerous at high levels, very extra dangerous for children, but can also cause lung cancer and death for adults. So it's important that if you are aware that it has high radon, you need to disclose that. All right. Have you done a radon test? And now we're getting into a little bit, hey, have you done this, right? Chronic wasting disease. A lot of this, yes, it's important that you read through it. Most of it's going to be important that we're looking for really specific stuff. Water intrusion and mold growth. This is very helpful. Have there been roof leaks? Was there some plumbing leaks that happened in the bathroom that maybe you didn't tell anybody and now it's growing? So it's going to be important that if you're aware of some of these plumbing leaks, one thing to say about this is, let's say that you put on here that there was no plumbing leaks, and there was. And the new buyer moves into the house and they call a plumber, and that plumber comes out and was like, I warned these sellers last year that if they didn't fix this whole thing was going to get moldy. You lied on the disclosure statement. Is there a positive outcome for the buyer here? I mean, unfortunately, the best case scenario is it's a small repair, you get it taken care of, and you move forward. But in this case, the seller would be misleading and potentially have to pay to have this repaired. So keep that in mind. Understand that if you were told by a contractor that something was an issue, you should technically disclose it. Notice regarding predatory and offender information. You can look this up on the Department of Corrections website to see if, hey, is there somebody on my street, on this street? This is a spot where the seller can put in some additional comments regarding, hey, my neighbor's dog barks all the time. I don't know if I'd put that down, but my dog's barking right now. So additional comments that include that information in there. Now, the seller needs to get this taken care of prior to listing the property, so it can be available to prospective buyers. The seller is going to execute on this document. The buyer, when they are ready to move forward on this property, they can grab this disclosure statement and they can sign this and provide that with the offer. And now you have a written contract verifying that both parties are aware of the overall condition of the property and choosing to move forward. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. I know it must have been very exciting. Seller's disclosures always are. Well, I shouldn't say that because sometimes I do get an interesting disclosure that adds a little variety in life to my day. If you got some value from this video, if you could just take a second and hit that like button. If you plan on transacting in the future, you could subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments below. If you'd like to book a session with me to do one-on-one over these documents, there's a link in the description below. I also put a link to the seller's disclosure statement down there. It's a PDF link that you can follow to review that document on your own time. Thanks again for visiting the channel, and we will see you in the next video.